Right, YouTube, and Shadow King Nazu, and I'm here to do my review of Black Adam. Now, I saw Black Adam yesterday with a friend of mine. We went to the 2 o'clock showing, and let's get into it, shall we? So, Black Adam is basically about the the man of Kahndaq going to his background 5,000 years ago, where his people were enslaved uh, by by their oppressors, and uh, they treated them very poorly as expected, and they were overworked and would even kill them if they either stepped out of line or felt like they had exhausted their usefulness or just hurt them in any sort of way. And because of that, um, the wizard who gave Shazam, or Captain Marvel as he was originally was, gave their power to the champion, which we assume was Teth Adam before he became Black Adam. But it's not that cut and dry. But we cut to the present day, and Kondak is being invaded by not by these oppressors, but by Intergang, which is usually a international criminal syndicate that that has a lot of advanced technology, some of which comes from Apocalypse, which there's no indication that their technology comes from Apocalypse, despite how advanced they are, which I feel is kind of a missed opportunity, as it would have tied to Zack Snyder's Justice League and show that Darkseid was using these people for his own ends, like maybe trying to find the specific location of the anti-life equation, or maybe try to get rid of some superheroes so that'll make his invasion easier, or some other ulterior motive. But I guess DC at that time was still going through the management issues of whether they wanted to make Zack Snyder's Justice League the canon version or the Joss Whedon version. I really hope that this new regime of DC and Warner Brothers wants to make the Zack Snyder one canon and can go forward from there. But yeah, the people of Konnak are being harassed by Intergang, and the we focus mostly on a Kondak mother, her son, and his uncle, and they're the ones that are trying to revive Black Adam to be their champion and save them from the Ender Gang, which they do manage to do. But he's he's a lot more brutal and a lot more brutal than they expected, and he doesn't seem to have full control of his powers when he gets angry. And because he said he's so powerful and such a huge threat that Amanda Waller sends the Justice Society of America to take him down, which includes Hawkman, Doctor Fate, Atom Smasher, and Cyclone. Now let's get the elephant out of the room. They race swapped Cyclone and Hawkman. Yeah, they got tokenized. Hawkman, I don't know if they're going with with either he's an alien or a reincarnated prince or some combination of the two. But if it is the reincarnation one, then I suppose him being race swap might be slightly more forgivable because it could just be some alternate version of the character. But the Cyclone is not so forgivable. So yeah, that's just more tokenism. How they handle the JSA, the JSA. I mean, as far as interactions go, I like the interaction between Hawkman and Doctor Fate. You feel that they definitely got a lot of history, despite the fact this is their introduction to this movie. Um, I'm glad that Black Adam wasn't able to like curb stump the JSA. This was one of my fears is that um, they were going to make Black Adam seem too powerful, and the JSA were going to seem like a bunch of jobbers. But especially with Hawkman, because Hawkman doesn't seem to get a lot of respect from DC fans. But yeah, he was able to hold his own, and he is wielding nth metal, so that might be a tie into his alien origin. Because nth metal is a special metal that can negate magic, which was they didn't specifically say that his mace that's made of nth metal can negate magic, but it but he does still will hold his own against Black Adam. And Dr. Fate, who's normally a lot more powerful than Black Adam would be, they kind of dialed it back a bit, so this fight would seem a bit more balanced. But you can tell that Dr. Fate, uh, every now and again, would get the better of Black Adam, as well as the main antagonist, which I'll get into later. But yeah, definitely like that. I also like their interactions. You definitely to tell they had a friendship and a good history. As for Cyclone and Atom Smasher, eh, they were kind of there. Uh, Atom Smasher seems more like the inexperienced, well-meaning jokester. I mean, I don't want to say jokester, but like the inexperienced got new recruit that means well. But he is kind of clumsy sometimes, but that's because he inherited his uncle's suit and can manipulate molecules to grow bigger and stronger. And Cyclone, I mean, she's smart, and she seems kind of friendly, but other than that, I can't really tell much of her character. So, but that's about it. Now, as for The Rock as Black Adam, I like. I think this was a pretty good role for Black Adam. The way they handled him. Um, Usually, The Rock is very charismatic and the big strong guy, and would have good one-liners. And Black Adam has some one-liners, but he seems more uh, reserved and um, uh, he seems more reserved and seems like like the whole fish out of water thing, where he's doesn't really understand some of the modern ways of things, and is just trying to adapt. That's kind of how they went with Black Adam, but he's also more stoic, which kind of works with Black Adam with how certain writers write him. Um, and the Rock can be kind of cocky, but that kind of works with Black Adam because he's well known for being arrogant. As for how they try to interpret him, it seems more they've gone with the anti-hero route rather than the villain route for this movie. He's brutal, but he doesn't seem malevolent. He's just willing to be more effective in dealing with criminals or anyone that threatens conduct, and he's willing to kill them, which puts him at odds with the JSA and and Amanda Waller. And as for the antagonist, which was Sabak, who is basically like the demonic version of either Shazam or Black Adam, and whereas they get their powers from like multiple gods, Sabak gets his power from multiple demons, um, like Satan, Belial, uh, I think Beelzebub, Amon Us, and various other ones. I can't remember them because my demonology is a bit rusty. But as far as it goes, I mean he's serviceable. You can kind of tell early on who the villain was going to be. Uh, but it's basically that the villain felt that it was his it was his birthright because to rule over Kandahar because he was the descendant uh, of the oppressive king of Kandahar that enslaved the people, and uh, he's just trying to claim his birthright. It's not the most in depth thing for a supervillain. I mean, there's not a lot of uh, meaty parts to the plot. It's very more focused on the action and spectacle. But uh, I would rather, as long as it's competently handled, I can enjoy that. And I think they did a pretty good job on that front. The action is done pretty well for the most part. You can definitely tell that Black Adam has a lot of power, and they ought to do some effective ways with the superpowers. You see some slow motion parts that show off his wisdom and battle intelligence and how he can respond to situations despite the fact that he's out of his era and out of his element. But that shows like he has the wisdom from the Egyptian gods, which his wisdom comes from Zahudi, I believe was the god's name, and he was able in this one scenario where he's surrounded by a bunch of the Intergang, and they have a lot of military grade weapons and vehicles, and he just basically just directs uses his speed and intelligence to direct their weapons against each other and just let them take themselves out, and that's pretty good. Although there were some cases where the fight didn't seem to have that much weight to them, such as when you get some exchanges between Black Adam and Hawkman. Well, I think it was mostly good. There were some things where it just kind of felt weightless. Uh, I mean, another problem was that I'm not sure if that it would have been nice to be explained uh, if the JSA was already established. How come they didn't help fight threats like Steppenwolf or any other threats to the planet? Um, it seems that they were working with Amanda Waller. I guess maybe they do the job that's they did a job that's not dirt. I mean, the non-dirty jobs that you would expect the Suicide Squad to handle. Is more like keeping the peace, whereas the Suicide Squad would be more involved with target retrieval and assassination and those sorts of things. Um, but it would have been. I feel like it would have made a lot more sense if they said that the JSA was established not too long ago. So that wouldn't cause any possible contradictions between them and the rest of the DC cinematic universe. And I suppose we could also talk uh, about the not so big secret. Yes, Superman is back. Henry Cavill is back as Superman. Spoiler alert, but not really. It's like a quick cameo. I've heard that this was added in last minute. It took about a of month of shooting for this scene. It's basically uh, Amanda Waller at the end of the movie saying that fine, we won't imprison you in one of our cells, but you can't leave Kahndaq, otherwise I'm going to send superheroes to come after you. And basically, Black Adam is just said, okay, bring it on. I can take on anyone. And that's when Superman comes in and say, yeah, it's been a while since there's been a superhero that's uh, made the whole world nervous, and that will be referring to him. And he says that we need to talk. And Black Adam seems excited about this because he thinks that Superman's going to be the first time that he's actually had someone that can rival his power. Um, and I'm really glad that we can see Henry Cavill back as Superman, which The Rock has been fighting 6 years to get him in that film. And that really shows that he's willing to listen to the fans. And he said on Twitter multiple times that he's doing this for the fans. And as long as the fans are happy, that's great. And I really appreciate that mentality. As opposed to like Marvel, which is more focused on virtue signaling and subvertive expectations and just telling their whatever story they want, regardless of what the fans want, or being respectful to the comic books and source material. They they burned a lot of bridges with the fans, and the only ones they have left are like the MCU fanboys that'll just consume whatever slop they make. Which is why I just kind of gave up on Marvel. I feel like DC, as far as with Black Adam and The Rock, are going the right step in the right direction. They're willing to listen to the fans and take the necessary steps to please them, which is going to help them in the long run. Now, if we get now as far as the tease of Black Adam versus Superman, I think that could happen. Um, they'll likely also add Shazam into the mix. I don't know how fair that Superman is going to and Black Adam are going to do well against each other. Because normally they're about evenly matched in terms of physical power. It usually comes to their hacks abilities, like Superman's heat vision and cold breath, versus Black Adam's magical lightning, which doesn't really have much of a response to because he has no resistance to magic. So I imagine that they might have Shazam help Superman, and one, and then maybe Black Adam and Superman and Shazam will have some common enemy, and then that's when they may say that we come to an understanding. Maybe they'll invite Black Adam to the Justice League like they've done in modern comics, and maybe Black Adam will be used to help fight Darkseid along with the Justice League and the Justice Society of America. Um, and another bit of a spoiler: they killed the host of Doctor Fate. Um, Now that's kind of upsetting because I would have liked to see more of this Doctor Fate. Would like to see him get a solo movie, but I suppose I can accept it because Doctor Fate has multiple hosts. It's as long as the helmet of Naboo is still intact. Because when you wear the Doctor Fate's helmet, you just become a vessel, and it's the Naboo who takes control. He's part of the Lords of Orders, and he basically maintains the natural cosmic order and ensures Earth's safety. And so if we do get a Doctor Fate solo movie, it will probably be focused on a new host, and he might fight some embodiment of the Lord of Chaos, which would be pretty interesting. But I'm hoping that we'll get a new Doctor Fate by the time the DC heroes come around to fighting Darkseid. And I really think that we should be uh, making more teases to Darkseid's coming because he is preparing his armada for the invasion and to get the anti-life equation. So we're going to need a lot of heroes and powerhouses like Black Adam, Superman, Wonder Woman, Doctor Fate, and so on and so forth. But all in all, I'd say this was a pretty good movie, pretty simple plot, but great action, pretty solid characters, and I felt like The Rock gave a solid performance as Black Adam. And it's really good to see that he's respecting the fans, and I feel really positive about DC's future going forward. So I will give this movie a 8 out of 10. You guys let me know in the comment section below what you thought. I'll catch you mortals later.